Hey everyone, I'm Diana. I'm a 3-time startup PM and I've now co-founded my own startup, and I follow a lot of B2B SaaS companies so that you don't have to. Hey everyone, today I'm going to be covering a couple different GPT tools that came across my desk through Product Hunt. Now, I believe all of these companies fall under the category of what I like to call embedded GPT, which is basically my way of referring to tools that allow you to access GPT in the tools that you're already using. So I haven't looked at any of these products yet, so we're just going to look through all of them and just react and see whether or not any of them are useful. Now, I will say that I see a lot of these tools come across my desk, and there are just so many of them. And honestly, the vast majority of them I don't find particularly compelling just because there are 5 different versions of the same exact tool that do the same exact thing. But we're going to see if anything sparks our interest today. So this is Veo. It's a ChatGPT web companion. Again, I found a lot of these on Product Hunt, so you can see that, they were featured on Product Hunt. Now, this is kind of like a dirty industry secret, but like being featured on Product Hunt is basically kind of like just marketing. So I like it a lot, and I think Product Hunt is really great, but just know that if you see that, a lot of times it's just that they invested time to basically market on Product Hunt. All right, so this basically looks like a browser extension that connects to Chrome and Edge. I have no idea who's using Edge, but if you are using Edge, all power to you. So it looks like it kind of provides 3 main value props. I think the first value prop looks like basically it makes it easier for you to access ChatGPT. So instead of having to go to the ChatGPT website, you can have it in a Chrome extension. I think this is actually a little bit more interesting. It basically looks like they have some functionality that just makes it easier for you to use GPT to do some of the cooler kind of natural language processing things directly in your browser on the content that you're browsing. So rather than having to copy and paste that content into ChatGPT and being like, hey, ChatGPT, can you translate the above for me? You can just do that directly with some of their nice little UI and UX elements. And then finally, it looks like you can also have it generate content because, that is what ChatGPT is great at. So they do allow you to generate content as well. I think overall, I actually personally don't really use ChatGPT that often, and I just can't see myself needing a Chrome extension, especially because when you install Chrome extensions, you definitely want to make sure you check the permissions before you install them, so you're not installing something that's basically tracking everything under the sun. I'm just a little bit more careful about that. The one thing that I did think was interesting was, do I need a ChatGPT account? And yes, you do need a ChatGPT account. So I think that's interesting. I think it would be nicer to just pass through, so whoever comes to Veo can just automatically pass through and not have to go through that particular process. But it's not a big deal, and I understand why they do that, because they probably don't want to pay for every single API call that you pass in. All right, so next up is Wonderworker. I actually thought this looked pretty interesting because I, like many other startup tech employees, live in Slack, and this is an embedded GPT application in Slack. One of the things I struggle a lot with these GPT tools is that they seem really not necessarily use case specific. So like if you look at kind of what they're doing, like instant answers, decision making, writing assistance, conversation starter, learning and development, language. I just feel like it's a lot more about making ChatGPT accessible than kind of fine-tuning ChatGPT for a very business-specific use case. I have seen other products where they're really clear about the fact that they're actually training on your own Slack data, so that the answers that you get from this from the kind of AI bot are a little bit more catered to your organization. But I'm not sure if that's what they do here. It looks kind of more like it's an embedded ChatGPT bot directly in your Slack. I think the collaboration piece is really interesting, but I'm not entirely sure what it means. So I think overall, this is probably a really early product, and they're going to think through a lot of things and make their website a lot clearer, and it will probably be super cool. So this pricing is very interesting. It's very rare for me to see kind of a tool that people might expect enterprises to use, or at least businesses to use, as a one-time payment. So that's a little bit surprising. So I don't know. I think there are a couple of things in here that I think are different from what I typically see with SaaS products that I would use at work. So I'm not sure if I would necessarily adopt this quite yet. I think I would need to see them kind of just get a little bit further along. But I do really like the idea of having GPT in Slack. So I think there's a lot of potential here. But we adopt so many technology tools at my startup at this point that we're a little bit more careful about adopting things if they don't exactly meet a specific use case that we have. All right, so next up is another embedded GPT product, LinkedIn GPT Pro. I saved this one because if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm very active on LinkedIn. And, I actually have never used ChatGPT to write any of my LinkedIn posts, just because I feel like ChatGPT just has better English than me, and I don't write like that. But I do think it's actually very useful to have GPT on the side, kind of helping you brainstorm, maybe come up with different ideas of what you should write about. So I saved this one. So again, this looks like a Chrome extension, and basically reading through what they do, they essentially overlay the sparkles icon as you're writing that post so that you can automatically start using GPT, and then you can edit things and then post things. And I love that they have this like privacy and security. We do not store any user data. That's super important. So yeah, again, it looks like this is basically a way to access ChatGPT a little bit easier directly in LinkedIn. One of the things that I really wonder about some of these embedded applications is if it's really enough value over me just going to the ChatGPT interface. I mean, I think there is value for me, but like having to install like 10 different tools to do a specific thing within an embedded product just feels like a lot. I'm sure they have a lot of different ideas on how to expand this further, and when they have more features, I definitely think I would want to try it. But for now, because I don't use ChatGPT to write my LinkedIn posts, I don't want to get caught doing it. I don't want people to ask me if it's ChatGPT. So I haven't done it yet, and I'm probably not going to use something like this. But I love the idea of embedding ChatGPT within LinkedIn. I think this is a great first step, and it's really exciting. Okay, next up, another Chrome extension. These Chrome extensions are really popular. Pitch GPT. So this one is kind of similar to the last one that we looked at. It's an embedded product for LinkedIn. But I think what is particularly interesting is actually, if you dig in a little bit deeper, they are doing some kind of interesting things beyond just generating content for you. So for example, when you first log in and you set up the extension, you can select what use case you're trying to do. So like it could be, I'm trying to pitch for sales, I could be pitching for recruitment, I could be pitching for networking. And then once you do that, it'll actually analyze the profile of the person you're trying to talk to, as well as your own profile, so that you can kind of write something that's a little bit more personalized. You can customize it and do things. So I really like that additional layering where it'll do research on the person you're trying to reach out to, as well as yourself, so that you can write something that's a little bit more human-like. I like that because rather than just taking ChatGPT and making it more accessible in the tools you're using, it's also taking ChatGPT and making it more uniquely tuned, or making the UX a better fit for kind of what you're trying to do. And in this case, it's all about outbound pitching on LinkedIn. So I fast forward to the section in this video where it shows you kind of what it looks like. And it just looks like it's a Chrome extension that comes out as a sidebar on the right side. The other thing that I really like about their strategy is that they're PLG, which stands for product-led growth, which basically means that they kind of have a selling motion that's really more product-led. So they have these 100 credits included, 100 personalized messages that you can try for free before you decide that you want to buy it. So here's another embedded Chrome browser kind of ChatGPT extension called AIBrane. So basically you can kind of call the AIBrane from a lot of different areas within different products and leverage it to write your tweets, do different things that ChatGPT can do. And I may be wrong about this, but it looks like most of it is very text oriented around like generating content. And you know, I don't know, I just feel like this feels a lot like a lot of different tools that I've seen, and it's just hard for me to choose, would I go with this path or should I use some of the Chrome extensions? So I think it's tough for me to decide which one to use in this particular situation. It definitely feels like a better fit for a like developer because the way that you call the AI bot is through slash commands, and I just feel like that's kind of something that developers do more often than perhaps someone who's more on the business side. So one thing I did notice about this particular product is that they have this section just kind of hidden at the bottom of their website for some reason that's actually super cool. So you can actually set up a magic chat on your own. And basically you can just create these bots that you can then embed in your website. And that basically allows you to have a chat bot on any website. So I don't know, I think that's actually really, really, really cool, and they should put that higher up on the website. And the reason why I think that's cool is because unlike a lot of the other tools right now that are a lot more like consumer user facing, like a Chrome extension that helps you generate LinkedIn posts, this actually allows businesses to start leveraging ChatGPT on their websites. And I just think these types of like enabling technologies that help businesses build their businesses are just really cool. That is why I am in B2B SaaS. And then I found this ChatGPT for Gmail. This actually looked pretty cool because they have such a focus on Gmail that they have some pretty like specific functionalities for email writing. The only thing that's maybe stopping me from installing something like this is I know Google's probably going to start implementing some kind of AI in their own Gmail 2 that might be a little bit more embedded. So I'm just waiting for that. But overall, I think this is actually pretty cool. Like there's a subject line generator. You can write emails. I mean, this is actually pretty cool with this like readability score. But overall, I write very short emails. Like, great, sounds good. See you next week. So I just don't think I need something like this. But I think if you're like a sales rep who's like emailing people all the time with a lot of like bullet lists and everything like that, then this sounds like a great solution. Okay, so if you're tired, I'm tired too. We just looked at so many different GPT products and there are so many more. I have like a list of 20 more that I have not looked at yet, and it's absolutely driving me nuts. But I think the 2 companies that I thought were the most interesting out of the ones I saw just personally for me were AIBrane, not the AIBrane itself, but actually this like secondary product they created called Magic Chat. I would love to try to see what it could do on our website and maybe have like a chatbot that could answer questions. That's super exciting. I might try it. And then Pitch GPT I also thought was interesting just because of that ability to kind of like help me look at the person I'm trying to reach out to's profile and pulling all that information. I think that's actually pretty useful. I do sometimes like cold reach out to people on LinkedIn and then I have to go through their profile and like understand who they are, try to write something good. And I think this would save me a lot of time. So hopefully some of those tools were interesting. All of them were what I again call the embedded GPT experience, where people are trying to basically put GPT in every single tool that we use. At some point, I actually think a lot of these tools will themselves just implement GPT to have a more embedded experience that doesn't have to be a Chrome extension. But for now, it's really cool that there are so many people that are jumping onto this trend and building really cool tools that I think definitely have a lot of potential and can grow into something really big. So until next time. So I know how hard it is to stay up to date with all of the SaaS products that are literally coming out every day. So I have a playlist that covers all the SaaS products that I find particularly interesting that you might find interesting as well. So if you think this is useful, hit the subscribe button.